Her appearance was not exceptionally beautiful, but it was quite delicate. Despite still having some childishness in her brows and eyes, her playful demeanor revealed a gentle nature beneath. Alchemy is really too hard. I can never get it right. Even though I've put in so much effort, the young girl walked through the mountains, pouting and talking to herself. I wonder how my brother is doing now. He is more talented than me, and was prioritized for training as soon as he entered the sect. I must work harder. I can't let him look down on me. As she walked, the girl stopped and her gaze landed on a nearby herb emitting a soft moonlight. She hurried forward and gently plucked a few leaves, unaware that behind her, a solitary figure had appeared at some point. Wang Lin stood frozen, gazing at the young girl ahead. Though her appearance had changed slightly from when he had last seen her, he recognized her instantly. A soft look gradually appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he stood there, his heart filled with bitterness. After carefully placing the leaves of the moon water herb into her storage pouch, the girl stood up and was about to leave. Suddenly, she paused, took a few steps forward, crouched down, and pushed aside some grass to reveal a small beast. The little beast resembled a squirrel, lying there on the verge of death. Its right leg was mangled, as though it had been bitten and was now severed. The girl gasped, her eyes filled with pity. She quickly took out some herbs from her storage pouch, crushed them, and gently applied them to the small beast's wound. But the herbs were clearly insufficient to save it. The little beast's eyes grew dimmer, its blood loss had already reached a critical point, and it was on the brink of death. The girl's eyes flashed with anxiety as she gently cradled the small beast and turned to descend the mountain to seek her master. However, just as she turned, she gasped in fright and swiftly took a few steps back, her eyes wide with terror. Her sudden turn revealed Wang Lin standing behind her, startling her. "I'll take care of it." Seeing her frightened expression, Wang Lin's heart trembled. He softly spoke, raising his right hand and waving it forward. A flash of white light fell upon the small beast in her arms, and its wound healed at a visible speed. Even its dull eyes regained some brightness. The little beast, now healed, kicked its legs and jumped out of the girl's arms, landing on a nearby branch. It glanced back at the two of them, then disappeared into the distance after a few leaps. The girl took a deep breath and patted her chest, looking curiously at Wang Lin. She bowed slightly and said in a soft voice, "I am Li Muan. It's an honor to meet you, Senior. May I ask which peak you reside on in the sect? Are you here to find my master?" Wang Lin shook his head, looking at the girl before him with increasing tenderness. He softly said, "I'm not here to find your master. I live here." "Live here?" Li Muan blinked. Wang Lin smiled, flicking his sleeve. A soft breeze swirled around, enveloping her, and in an instant, the two of them vanished without a trace. When they reappeared, they were at the top of the mountain, surrounded by swirling clouds. At some point, a cave dwelling had appeared here. Li Muan widened her eyes, staring at the scene before her. After a long time, she regained her composure, her gaze towards Wang Lin filled with astonishment. "Senior, you must be one of the hidden experts from my Luo River sect." "No, not an old monster, but a hidden master," Li Muan awkwardly chuckled, taking a few steps back, her eyes flashing with caution. There was no one around. She had been swept away by Wang Lin, and naturally, she felt nervous. Although Wang Lin didn't seem like a villain, Li Muan's heart still raced. Junior came to collect herbs under the command of my master. I've been out for a long time, and my master must be worried. I should take my leave now." Li Muan continued to retreat, emphasizing that her master might arrive at any time. Wang Lin smiled. He had never seen Li Muan display such a look before, and nodded upon hearing her words. Li Muan quickly backed away and descended the mountain path, moving rapidly. Only when she reached the foot of the mountain did she let out a long sigh, glancing back at the mountaintop. "My senior sister once said that the old monsters of the cultivation world all have eccentricities, especially some who cultivate using cauldrons. That really scared me. The way that old monster appeared silently and then suddenly swept me to the mountaintop. If I hadn't reacted quickly and mentioned my master, I would have been in danger. But this old monster looks young, not like a bad person. Maybe I'm just overthinking it." Muttering to herself, Li Muan hurriedly left. At the mountaintop, Wang Lin's gaze could pierce through everything, and he watched Li Muan's expression, even hearing her murmurs clearly. When Li Muan had walked far enough, Wang Lin finally withdrew his gaze, a smile forming on his face. But that smile was tinged with melancholy. Is this all a projection of my soul's memories, or does it really exist? This scene doesn't appear in my memories. Wang Lin sighed softly, unwilling to dwell on it, and quietly closed his eyes. After a long while, he slowly opened his eyes and muttered to himself, "One more look, one more conversation with her, then I'll leave, and light the first incense." Time passed slowly. 1 day, 2 days. Before long, 4 days had gone by. During these 4 days, Li Muwen did not appear. Wang Lin remained at the peak of the mountain, waiting. Just as he remembered, Li Muwen stayed at the cloud heaven sect, accompanied by the melody of the guqin, waiting for his return. For 4 days, Wang Lin did not meditate. Instead, he silently gazed at the sky, waiting for what was to come. It wasn't until the afternoon of the 5th day that a hurried, breathy gasp came from the bottom of the mountain. It was Li Muwen, climbing up from below. Upon reaching the peak, Li Muwen wiped the sweat from her forehead, her eyes filled with panic and caution. Yet, gritting her teeth, she stepped forward and walked to Wang Lin's side. Wang Lin looked at Li Muwen quietly, a gentle expression on his face. But this gentleness, in Li Muwen's eyes, made her instinctively take a few steps back, her wariness growing stronger. "Senior, can you also save it?" Li Muwen bit her lower lip, cautiously taking out a small beast the size of a palm from her bosom. The small beast, resembling a kitten in its youth, trembled in Li Muwen's hands. Its eyes were barely slits, as if it wanted to open them, but lacked the strength. Wang Lin chuckled softly, nodding. He raised his right hand and brushed it over the small beast. White light flickered, and the small creature seemed to be infused with life. Its eyes slowly opened, revealing a gleam of vitality. Li Muwen's eyes sparkled with joy, and she exclaimed in excitement. She quickly began to gently stroke the small beast's fur, and her gaze toward Wang Lin became less wary, though some caution remained. "Thank you, Senior." Li Muwen smiled brightly, giving Wang Lin a quick bow before swiftly retreating and descending the mountain. It was clear that she still harbored deep caution about the term old monster. Had it not been for her desperation, she would not have come. Maybe this old monster is not a bad person. Li Muwen glanced back at the mountain as she descended, muttering to herself. Wang Lin watched Li Muwen leave for the second time, the reluctance in his eyes growing stronger. At that moment, the entire sky suddenly darkened. The clouds swirled and thunder rumbled, shaking the heavens. A giant vortex appeared in the sky, rapidly rotating, causing the world to tremble with an indescribable pressure. The oppressive aura was overwhelming, spreading across the entire human realm. Yet, strangely, all the illusory beings in this realm seemed unaware, as if the sky had changed solely for Wang Lin, as if the vortex had erupted just for him. "Wang Lin, hurry up and ignite the human realm incense. What are you waiting for?" The last 4 words transformed into a storm, reverberating through the heavens, ringing through the world. "What are you waiting for?" On the Emperor Star, the old Vermilion bird had been waiting for too long and was growing anxious. Fearing that Wang Lin's soul might be trapped in the past, unable to free itself, he disregarded the trial's rules, took a step forward, and placed his hand on the first incense. The flame rushed into Wang Lin's soul, sending a low growl through the air. Lighting the human realm incense is not difficult. All you need is to release the fire within my soul, burning the illusory human realm, turning everything into a sea of flames, leaving nothing behind, and then you can ignite the incense. But I refuse. Wang Lin raised his head, fire blazing in his eyes as he stared at the swirling vortex in the sky. To enter this illusory yet real realm with my soul and sharpen my spirit, to erase the last traces of mortal thoughts and transform them into burning power. Because this is a soul fire, it will allow the flames of this realm to fuse into my soul, planting an immortal soul flame as a tribute to the 4th awakening of the Vermilion bird. But at such a cost, to burn away my mortal thoughts as a catalyst, I cannot do it. Wang Lin stood up, his gaze fixed on the sky. This was the land of his soul's entry. Even the old Vermilion bird, with its unfathomable cultivation, could not remain here for long, for this trial ground had been created by a certain treasure, with a divine art still incomprehensible to others. This is just an illusion, not reality. I once entered here. All you need to do is destroy it, light the incense once you leave, and you will pass the trial. Why are you so stubborn? The old Vermilion bird's voice was filled with urgency. Suddenly, the vortex in the sky shattered, and its voice gradually faded. As his voice disappeared, Wang Lin's words echoed into the vortex. I, Wang Lin, have never given up on the obsessions in my heart. Even if I must invoke the heavenly tribulation, I will not let go. The soul flame I plant within my soul is not solely to burn this realm. If the heavens say this is the only way to ignite the soul fire, then I will defy the heavens and use my own obsession as the karmic flame, not to gain the immortal soul fire, but to take my soul's karmic will and burn the karmic obstacles of reincarnation. On the Emperor Star, the old Vermilion bird withdrew his hand, staring at Wang Lin, who had closed his eyes, sighing deeply. Although Sima did not know all the details of the human realm, he could guess some of it. He couldn't help but sneer. "Senior, it seems that a long time has passed. It seems this third young emperor's trial has encountered some unexpected circumstances." Before he could finish speaking, the old Vermilion bird suddenly turned around, eyes widening. He raised his right hand and slapped forward, producing a sharp slap sound as he struck Sima again. Sima spat out blood, his body hurtling backward for thousands of feet. "Accident, my ass. My family's child has ignited the karmic fire with obsession. What do you know, you little bastard?" After delivering the slap, the old Vermilion bird's inner rage slightly subsided. His gaze sharpened as he thought to himself, karmic obstacles. Karmic obstacles. This kid has guts. He dares to ignite the karmic flame. The first ancestor once said, "Our Vermilion bird clan's achievement of the illusory flame realm was not by the correct path but through the use of the undying soul fire. This is because the karmic fire burning the soul is extremely difficult. Throughout history, only the first ancestor managed it, and that was under the protection of the immortal venerable. That's why it was not allowed for clan members to attempt it. If this kid succeeds, he will become the first of our clan." In this brief moment, within the entire human realm, aside from Wang Lin, no one else noticed. It was as if everything did not exist at all. Wang Lin stood atop a mountain peak, retracting his gaze from the sky, and sat down cross-legged. Igniting the karmic obstacles of reincarnation with a single thread of obsession, transforming it into karmic fire, not to burn the world, not to destroy this realm, but to burn his own soul. In the face of near death, in the instant when his soul would be completely burned and destroyed, he sought a sliver of hope, transforming into the seed of the karmic fire. Through this, there would be a chance for the fourth awakening of the Vermilion bird, breaking through from the realm of physical fire, stepping into the illusory flame realm, something that few in the Vermilion bird clan had ever achieved in the past. The illusory flame is the origin of all flames in the world. Whether it's the flames of jealousy, anger, madness, or any emotion-related flame that can trigger one's illusory fire, such a person has mastered divine arts in the illusory flame realm. A cultivator who reaches the illusory flame realm is immensely powerful. Even if they are not as strong as a third-step great power, they are enough to capture their attention. When fighting such a cultivator, you cannot be angry, happy, excited, or let your emotions fluctuate. Even the smallest shift in emotions could become a divine technique that they can use to defeat you. This is a terrifying divine technique. After all, no matter how high one's cultivation, every living being has emotions. Even the most gloomy person or the best at hiding their feelings still has them. Even Blue Dream Dao Sovereign's longing for his wife and love for his daughter could trigger illusory fire. Unless one can perfectly seal off all emotions, or be completely emotionless, they will fall prey to the illusory flame cultivator. The real terror of an illusory flame cultivator is not in one-on-one combat, but in group battles. An illusory flame cultivator can easily defeat thousands of soldiers. Within the heavens and earth, all third-step great powers are aware that it is extremely difficult for thunder cultivators to enter the Tao, and breaking the Void Gate is far from easy, as thunder itself was once controlled by the heavenly Tao. Breaking through the heavens with it is a monumental challenge. Similarly, the origin of fire is no different. Fire is one of the 5 elements of the world. Only after reaching the illusory flame can one break free from the 5 elements. If one progresses even further to form Tao Flame and attain the Great Origin Technique, they could potentially open the Void Gate and become a third-step great power. Wang Lin's eyes remained calm. The difficulty of the illusory flame lies in the flame seed, the fourth awakening of the Vermilion bird. But he did not wish to burn this realm and create an undying fire seed. Instead, he chose the even more difficult path. This path is fraught with uncertainties, and Wang Lin could still choose to give up, to leave this place, and to fail the trial. How could I give up so easily with the old Vermilion bird treating me like this? Wang Lin muttered, his eyes filled with determination. Just as he was unwilling to burn this realm, Wang Lin also valued favor deeply, and he could not let the old Vermilion bird down. Wang Lin exhaled deeply and slowly closed his eyes. The moment his eyes shut, a blue flame erupted within him. This flame did not spread outward but burned fiercely inside his body. The flame was invisible to others, but the excruciating pain of his soul being burned caused even Wang Lin's body to tremble. He gritted his teeth and enduring the burning of his soul, the obsession that would completely destroy him. I enter the Tao with this thread of obsession. Even the heavenly tribulation cannot destroy me. Who can stop me? Wang Lin suddenly raised his head, his eyes blazing with fury, and the flames erupted, engulfing his entire body. The inferno was shocking, but no one in the outside world could see it. In the human realm, time passed day by day. Li Muan began visiting the mountaintop more frequently, and each time Wang Lin saw her, the pain from his soul burning intensified by several times. Yet, his eyes showed no trace of this. Instead, they held a deep, calm tenderness. Li Muan, becoming accustomed to Wang Lin's expression, would sometimes chat lightly with him when she visited. However, the perceptive Li Muan gradually noticed that each time she visited, the strange elder seemed to grow weaker, and even his appearance slowly aged. She had no idea that, at this very moment, Wang Lin was enduring an indescribable agony. To ignite the karmic obstacle, he was relying solely on a single strand of obsession in his heart. The deeper that obsession ran, the more fiercely it would burn. Every time he saw Li Muan, Wang Lin's obsession grew stronger. And with it, the flames surged higher, and the pain deepened. Time flowed on, though it was impossible to tell how long it passed. The flame within Wang Lin's essence spirit had reached a terrifying intensity. His eyes were unfocused, his body dangerously weak, his youthful face now aged into that of a middle-aged man. It was as if 2,000 years had passed in an instant, compressed into the burning of his very soul. Give it up. You cannot survive the torment of soul combustion. I've never experienced it myself, but I once heard the first ancestor speak of it, and the dread in his voice even then. High above, the once collapsed vortex reappeared. It was the old vermilion bird, returning out of deep concern. His voice carried both anxiety and sorrow. Wang Lin clenched his jaw. His mind was barely hanging on. The overwhelming pain had already drowned him, far more intense than anything he had suffered in his entire life. Only during the ancient god calamity, when his physical body had shattered and reformed countless times, had he felt anything remotely comparable. Yet even then, the nature of this suffering was entirely different. You're only at the stage of soul combustion. Your obsession hasn't even transformed into karmic flame yet. What you're feeling now is merely the beginning. Once the karmic flame ignites, you'll face the 9 revolutions karmic tribulation. Even the first ancestor needed protection to survive it. If you stop now, there's still time. But if your obsession turns into karmic flame, your soul will be incinerated instantly. There will be no chance of turning it into a karmic obstacle. Had the first ancestor not been shielded by an immortal venerable, he would have never succeeded. The old vermilion bird cried out, his voice laced with urgency. That little girl, she's your obsession, isn't she? Everything in the human realm is just an illusion. Why throw your life into such peril for a memory that isn't even real? Wang Lin, why are you so stubbornly blind? The old vermilion bird's voice grew harsher, nearly reprimanding. But Wang Lin said nothing. His mind was hazy, the pain of the burning transforming into scenes from his past. His first encounter with Li Muan. The demonic sea. The cloud heaven sect. A beauty turned to bones. And at the end of it all, her lifeless form lying within the heaven-avoiding coffin. Every one of those memories was ablaze within his soul. It's been so long. If you go any further, your life will be in danger. So be it. Since you can't sever these mortal ties and can't bring yourself to burn this realm, even if you one day turn cold to me, I'll help you destroy it. No sooner had the old vermilion bird spoken than a roaring sea of flames erupted from the sky vortex. The inferno was world-shattering, spreading out in all directions until it blanketed the heavens of this entire realm. It began to descend, about to incinerate everything below. Just then, Li Muan appeared at the mountaintop. She was breathless, having just climbed up. Though she couldn't see the flames, to Wang Lin's dimmed vision, she was crystal clear, standing unaware as the inferno from the heavens surged straight toward her like a gaping flaming maw. In that instant, Wang Lin's vacant eyes regained clarity. Fire roared within them. With a sudden step forward, he leapt ahead. At the moment the flames were about to strike the bewildered Li Muan, Wang Lin wrapped her in his arms, shielding her with his back from the blazing sea. Li Muan froze. Holding her tightly, Wang Lin turned his head skyward and let out a deep, guttural roar. I can do this. You. The old vermilion bird was furious, his voice thunderous. He immediately halted the descending flames by force. Ancestor, in my entire life of cultivation, everything has been for her. Even if it's an illusion, I'd rather suffer myself than see her harmed, let alone destroyed. Wang Lin looked up at the sky, tears falling from his eyes. One of them landed on Li Muan's face, hot, scalding, searing not just her skin, but deep into her heart. Her gaze turned lost and confused. At the very moment those words left his lips, the flame within Wang Lin's essence spirit erupted once more, this time with countless times more intensity. And then, amidst the blaze, a black flame suddenly ignited. As it rose, the world changed color. It instantly overwhelmed the blue flame that had been burning inside Wang Lin's soul. Karmic flame, the old Vermilion bird gasped, drawing in a sharp breath, then sighed deeply. Your obsession has transformed into karmic flame. Aside from the first-generation ancestor, no one has ever survived being consumed by it. So be it. Since this is your choice, so be it. His voice slowly faded, and with it, the sea of fire in the sky vanished without a trace. The vortex collapsed into nothing. The black inferno quickly spread throughout Wang Lin's body. Within the blue flames, it took up more and more space. In just a moment, nearly 80% of the blue flames had turned into black. The searing pain emanated from his soul, causing his body to tremble. The agony was 100-fold more intense than before, and his soul was rapidly being destroyed at a visible rate. His body began to disintegrate rapidly, but his hands still tightly held Li Muan in his arms. In his eyes, there was an expression of pain that he was doing his utmost to conceal, gazing gently at Li Muan. I am satisfied to have had you by my side these days. Even if you're just an illusion, I will never allow anyone to harm you. Wang Lin silently looked at Li Muan and whispered. But in his voice, there was a tremor that was strong enough to shake Li Muan's heart. Who are you? Li Muan stared blankly at Wang Lin. Back then, in Wang Lin's embrace, she gazed at him with an unwilling look, a tender affection, as her youth slowly faded away. She walked through life, her beauty eventually turning to withered bones, and her eyes, which Wang Lin could never forget, finally closed. Her raised right hand seemed as though she wanted to touch Wang Lin's face for the last time. But in the end, it lost all its strength in midair and fell. The tears that streamed from the corner of her eyes as they closed fell to the ground, turning into the next season's flowers, unsure whether they would bloom again. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 years passed, the world changed beyond recognition, time moving on swiftly. 1,000 years couldn't be called eternal, but it was enough to make someone forget everything. Yet, it still couldn't blur Wang Lin's memories. He always remembered, always remembered. Now, it felt as if time was reversing. Wang Lin held the one he couldn't let go, but the person he embraced had turned into a wisp of ghostly spirit, Li Muan. His hand could no longer grasp her. It was empty. Now, though Li Muan was merely an illusion, in Wang Lin's arms, the feeling was so real, as though he was holding the entire world, yet he had no strength, no body, to continue holding her. His hands, burning in the black flames within his soul, slowly faded away, turning transparent. They passed through Li Muan's body and vanished. His appearance also changed rapidly. From middle-aged, he quickly aged through the years, transforming into a wrinkled old man, until he became transparent. It was as if the scene of the past was replaying, but now their identities had switched. The only thing that remained unchanged was the tenderness in Wang Lin's eyes. As his body vanished and the black flames finally dispelled the blue flames, turning everything into karmic flames, everything about Wang Lin rapidly disappeared from the world. Only the gaze of the black flames, which grew more and more distant from Li Muan, remained. Li Muan collapsed onto the ground, staring blankly at the eternal gaze in the sky, her heart trembling. Who are you? Li Muan screamed, struggling. There was a pain in her heart, a pain she didn't know where it came from, but it grew deeper. The karmic flames ignited, destroying everything, but they could not destroy Wang Lin's Tao heart, nor could they erase the memories in his heart. The karmic fire is born of my obsession. I cultivate the Tao through obsession, and my entire life is for her. Heaven and earth are indifferent, seeking to erase all obsession. But my obsession has already turned into karmic fire. Even heaven cannot take it away. If this karmic fire is going to burn my body, if this obsession is going to destroy me, I will not back down. This fire is the thought of my entire life. This karma is the Tao that I, Wang Lin, cultivate. Heaven's indifferent way. What is the use of cultivation? I enter the Tao through obsession, use thoughts to ignite karma, turning into the karmic obstacles of reincarnation. I will not go to heaven. Even if it's 9 revolutions and 18 hells, if hell is free, what harm is there in entering it? At the instant when the karmic fire was about to destroy him, a thunderous cry of the vermilion bird suddenly rang out. Within the black flames, a vermilion bird instantly materialized. This vermilion bird was enormous, its body no longer blue but black, resembling a black phoenix reborn in the black flames. The cry of the vermilion bird spread throughout heaven and earth in an instant. It even penetrated the human realm, erupting from the first incense on the giant turtle's back in the Emperor Star's arena, shaking the entire Emperor Star. The mystical Tondao Venerable, who had been waiting for days, showed no impatience. He casually raised his hand, taking out a peach to put to his mouth, but suddenly his body trembled and he looked up sharply, his gaze fixed on the first incense. The cry of the vermilion bird reverberated through heaven and earth. The blue dream Dao sovereign's eyes suddenly gleamed with brilliance. A strange light flickered in his gaze, followed by a hint of shock. This vermilion bird's cry. This is not an ordinary vermilion bird. This is. Indeed, the cry of the vermilion bird was anything but ordinary. Its sound carried an intent of ferocity, and even more so, a sense of unwillingness and defiance, as if it came from the 9 underworlds, not from the heavens. Impossible. Before Grand Diviner Yunluo even arrived, she had already foreseen that little bastard's death tribulation. He had no chance of surviving it. Simage's expression changed drastically. His pupils contracted sharply as he stared fixedly at the first incense stick. Beside him, Yunluo's delicate face also showed shock. Her right hand, hidden beneath her sleeve, formed hand seals at an increasingly frantic speed, nearly leaving afterimages. Yet in that very instant, her fingers suddenly trembled. 5 distinct fingerprints tore open at once, blood spilling forth. It was as if an unseen force had shattered her divination mid-process, or perhaps Wang Lin's current state had already transcended what she could foresee. The old vermilion bird let out an elated laugh, eyes gleaming. As the second-generation vermilion bird, he knew the cry of the vermilion bird intimately. The moment he heard it, he immediately grasped all that had unfolded in the human realm. Good boy. To manifest the vermilion bird under the karmic flame. If he's overcome this hurdle, then the 9 revolutions karmic flame tribulation shall begin. That's when this tribulation truly becomes its most brutal. Only the elder seated atop the lizard beast remained unmoved, eyes still closed, as if nothing happening around him warranted even the slightest notice. Beside the blue dream Dao sovereign, a woman stared dazedly at the burning first incense stick. Biting her lower lip, she watched with tears of complicated emotion streaming silently down her cheeks. Within the human realm, the black vermilion bird rose from the black flame, spreading its wings wide, casting a shadow vast enough to cover the sky. Its entire body was wreathed in endless black flame, radiating an unimaginable heat. Yet this heat did not bring destruction to the realm below. Instead, all of it was concentrated entirely within the vermilion bird itself. Waves of the cry of the vermilion bird grew increasingly intense and piercing, carrying a spiritual shockwave that struck directly at the soul. That black vermilion bird was the manifested soul of Wang Lin. The karmic flame has been ignited. Then let it burn the karmic obstacles of reincarnation, and help me achieve the 4th awakening of the vermilion bird. The black vermilion bird let out a thunderous cry and surged skyward. As it reached the apex of the sky, black fire exploded from its body with a deafening roar. From afar, it looked like a colossal torch. At the core of that fire danced the vermilion bird. With my obsession karma flame, Wang Lin's voice echoed like thunder across the heavens. In that instant, the fire around him transformed into a sea of flames, with the vermilion bird at its center. Suddenly, it erupted outward in all directions like a volcanic blast. In the blink of an eye, the entire sky was engulfed in black flame, yet not a single living creature within the human realm below felt a thing. This sea of fire that shrouded the sky grew denser and denser. In mere moments, it surged like towering waves, sweeping across the heavens. Light it, human realm incense. Wang Lin's low roar transformed into the cry of the vermilion bird. In that very instant, it shot wildly toward the edge of the heavens. Simultaneously, the vast sea of fire suddenly contracted and surged toward Wang Lin's vermilion bird form, forming a massive pillar of fire that shot skyward with thunderous might. Within that fire, atop the black vermilion bird, Wang Lin's soul image suddenly reformed. He raised his head to the heavens and threw his arms upward. Boom, 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 boom. A cascade of deafening explosions shook the sky. From the earth, a tremendous force surged upward as if it intended to rend the heavens apart. At that very moment, on the Emperor's star, atop the back of the giant turtle, a wisp of black smoke began to curl upward from the top of the first incense stick. It's lit. The first trial's incense has been ignited. Let's see how long he can sustain it. Tens of thousands of cultivators who had been waiting restlessly for days now erupted in an uproar the instant that faint wisp of smoke appeared. Many had been on the verge of leaving if not for fear, but now, all attention was riveted on that rising smoke. At first, it was only thin wisps, but in the blink of an eye, it became dense, roiling smoke that blanketed the sky like the smoke of war. An intense heat radiated outward as the human realm incense burned fiercely. It burned with terrifying ferocity. From afar, the flames soared sky-high, greedily devouring everything below. The speed of the burn defied description. In an instant, over half the stick had turned to ash. Compared to the other two incense sticks, this was nothing short of shocking. Just as the tens of thousands of cultivators around began to believe the first incense stick would be consumed in mere moments, the fire atop it suddenly paused. That pause struck directly into the hearts of all present, as if their very souls had skipped a beat. Maja stared unblinkingly at the human realm incense. Beside him, Grand Diviner Yunluo looked slightly pale, a shadow flickering in her gaze. In the human realm, Wang Lin stood atop the black Vermilion bird, his body wreathed in boundless black flame. Amid the raging karmic flame, he exhaled deeply. Lowering his head, he looked toward a distant mountaintop, where a frail figure sat, gazing up at the sky. Softly, he whispered, "My name is Wang Lin." Having spoken his final words to Lim Yuan, he suddenly raised his head. 9 revolutions karmic tribulation, come. The 9 revolutions karmic tribulation, the fire tribulation of karmic obstacles, was the very one that nearly claimed the life of the first-generation Vermilion bird in the past. Had it not been for the protection of the ancient immortal venerable, the soul would have been scattered. At this moment, Wang Lin, as the 6th-generation Vermilion bird, was all alone, without any protection, facing the 9 revolutions karmic tribulation by himself. In the world, the colors red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, and even white and black exist, known as the 9 colors. Each color represents one turn of the tribulation. The 9 tribulations begin from the black flame and end in the black flame, completing the cycle of reincarnation. If one survives all 9 tribulations, it ignites the karmic obstacles of reincarnation, breaking through to enable the Vermilion bird's 4th awakening, transforming solid fire and stepping into the illusory flame realm. The 9 revolutions karmic tribulation has arrived. The black flames surrounding Wang Lin's body were swept away by a violent wind in an instant, turning blood red as they surged around him. The red light reflected onto the ground, bathing it in crimson. A thunderous roar filled the air as the endless crimson flames surrounding Wang Lin suddenly reversed and rushed toward him from all directions. The first incense on the Emperor's star, at that moment, burned again, sending a thunderous flame downward. The incense, having been lit for exactly 1 breath of time, was now reaching its peak. Wang Lin stood within the flames, feeling the intense heat, his senses overwhelmed by the unbearable burn. As the red flames rushed toward him, he felt a searing pain surge through him. The first tribulation's red flame represented the boundless murderous tribulation caused by Wang Lin's obsession. This murderous tribulation, as it rolled back, burned like a soul-scraping firestorm. The Vermilion bird beneath Wang Lin screeched in agony as it was consumed by the red flames. Even Wang Lin, with his soul nearly reconstructed, felt his spirit shattering, on the brink of being burned alive. Despite having overestimated the strength of the 9 revolutions karmic tribulation, Wang Lin never imagined the first tribulation would be so overwhelming. It was almost unbearable. Under the crimson flames, even the smallest moment felt like an eternity. The black Vermilion bird could no longer endure, its body shrinking rapidly as the black flames turned red at an alarming speed. Once fully red, the Vermilion bird would become a part of the first tribulation, amplifying its power and backfiring on Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a furious roar, madness flashing in his eyes. This first tribulation was unexpectedly strong, and direct confrontation was impossible, but surrendering was out of the question. With a furious swing of his arms, he opened his mouth and inhaled sharply. First revolving karmic fire tribulation. Let's see whether you burn me, Wang Lin, to ashes, or whether I will devour and refine you. A surge of madness filled Wang Lin's core. The greater the danger, the more unyielding he became. In an instant, the crimson flames surrounding him were drawn into his body, as if devoured by an invisible force. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The crimson flames in the sky disappeared, but inside Wang Lin's body, they exploded with intense power. His body now radiated blood-red light, as if it were about to tear apart. This body was made from Wang Lin's soul, and now the red fire burned within his very soul. On the Emperor's star, the first incense on the giant turtle's back burned with a fierce intensity, turning into black smoke that rose like a signal fire, soon transforming into a roaring crimson mist that filled the heavens. The tens of thousands of cultivators surrounding the scene instinctively gasped, stepping back in fear. At this moment, a stronger crimson glow suddenly emanated from Wang Lin's body. The glow swirled through him, creating a sea of heat that spread outward. Meanwhile, the incense's burning speed inexplicably slowed, as if a force had emerged within it, halting its progress. The old Vermilion bird's gaze never left the incense, his eyes filled with concern. Within the human realm, Wang Lin, having devoured all the crimson fire, felt as though millions of fire thunderbolts were exploding inside him. The intense pain seemed as if it would disintegrate him. With a low growl, Wang Lin swung his right hand forward, summoning the half-red Vermilion bird beneath him, which flew toward him with a long screech, merging into his body in an instant. Wang Lin's expression twisted with fury as he let the flames burn within him. Amidst the excruciating agony, he continued to refine himself, attempting to assimilate the red fire into his being. At this moment, the sky suddenly changed, as a burst of orange light appeared. In that flash, the second tribulation of the 9 revolutions karmic fire tribulation descended. Before Wang Lin had any time to refine the fire, the sky around him was immediately engulfed by an ocean of orange flames, roaring as they surged toward him. As if that weren't enough, after the orange flames, a vast yellow light erupted, with another wave of fiery yellow flames appearing around it like a massive tidal wave. Even more shocking was what came after the yellow flame. Streaks of green light shot up like ghost fire, piercing the heavens, forming what looked like a barrier of searing green flame that came roaring forward with a terrifying momentum. 3 colored flames appeared simultaneously. 3 tribulations struck in the same instant. This was the true terror of the 9 revolutions karmic fire tribulation. Unlike heavenly tribulations, which offered a sliver of hope between intervals, this was a destruction tribulation. Once it erupted, death was inevitable. In the human realm, the 3 tribulations swept across the sky. Atop the Emperor's star, near the first incense stick, a similar phenomenon erupted. Amidst the churning crimson smoke, 3 kinds of smoke, orange, yellow, and green, suddenly surged forth in a torrential wave. The first tribulation hasn't even passed, and now the orange, yellow, and green tribulations strike all at once. How could anyone possibly survive this? The old Vermilion bird's expression changed drastically. Though this was his first time witnessing the 9 revolutions karmic tribulation, he never expected it to be this savage. The one most delighted was Simaja. A cruel, almost hidden smile played at the corners of his mouth as he stared at the first incense stick. Inwardly, he sneered, "I don't know what exactly that little bastard encountered inside, but judging by the signs, he's as good as dead. A pity about the secrets on him, but better off dead anyway." Grand Diviner Yun Luo also quietly exhaled in relief. The wound on her finger had already healed. She gazed at the first incense stick, thinking silently, "It seems he isn't the one foretold in the ancestral divinations." "Father." Li Qianmei bit her lip and turned to look at the blue dream Dao sovereign beside her. Her beautiful eyes still held some confusion, but now they brimmed with pain and desperate pleading. The Blue Dream Dao Sovereign let out a long sigh and said softly, "I'll help him. Don't worry. Still, I believe he can endure this tribulation." Within the human realm, Wang Lin's body continued to pulse with red radiance. In his eyes blazed a fierce struggle against fate. 9 revolutions karmic fire, 3 tribulations in one go. Good, good, good. Let's see how these flames will try to extinguish my soul. Even amid the searing agony, he showed no sign of yielding. Laughing wildly, he forced the pain down, then swept his arms wide and took a deep breath. Then let the 4th revolution's flames all enter my soul. Either you burn me to ashes, or I, Wang Lin, devour you in return. There was a kind of unspoken pride in his words, a way of confronting life, of defying fate in the heavens. A moment that captured his pursuit of obsession, of the Tao, and of destiny itself, all converging into a defiant symphony echoing from his roar. As that laughter rang out, 2,000 years of cultivation flashed before Wang Lin's eyes. Memory after memory surged forth, his parents' faces, the times he turned back with regret, the sorrow of a soul returning home, the youth kneeling before a grave, and the tearful cries under thunder on a rainy night, all resurfacing. In that stream of memories, the orange flame howled into his mouth, flooding into his body and intertwining with the red glow within him. If the soul grieves, the heart longs across 1,000 miles. If the soul returns, tears fall at the tomb. Next came the 3rd tribulation, the yellow flame, blazing with violent force. It followed the ocean of orange flame and surged into Wang Lin's body, igniting furiously. From the heavens above to the underworld below, one might still seek, but the merciless turning of time and the separation of heaven and man turn yearning into eternal sorrow, an indelible mark carried for a lifetime. Then came the green flame, ghastly like nether fire, roaring in and dyeing the entire sky a twisted green. It rushed into Wang Lin's body like a demonic blaze. A flash sparked in Wang Lin's eyes. His memories paused. The 4 types of fire inside him burned madly, an overwhelming force of destruction spreading with a whooshing fury. His body's refinement speed couldn't keep up. At the brink of total incineration, Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and swung it forward. Thunder echoed as his storage dimension burst open. With one grasp, a wine gourd filled with dragon blood appeared in his hand. Just one mouthful of this dragon blood could cause the flames within him to explode in intensity. Without hesitation, Wang Lin let out a long laugh, lifted the gourd, and drank it all in one go. One gulp, an entire gourd, down to the last drop. He flung the gourd aside with a sweep of his hand. Instantly, the flames inside him erupted with a deafening roar. The scorching dragon blood transformed into a sea of fire, launching a frenzied battle against the 4-colored flames within him. And amid this battle, deep within Wang Lin's soul, within the burning sea of fire, a vortex slowly emerged. From within that vortex, a breath from the heaven-defying pearl began to awaken. I've swallowed all 4 revolutions of fire tribulations into my soul. Let the human realm be left with no flame to burn. If that 5th revolution dares to come, let it try. His entire body was now engulfed in flames at their peak. Amidst the burning, Wang Lin threw his head back and roared. He shot straight into the sky, rushing toward the heavens. The sky above him felt like a barrier, and as he drew near, a thunderous boom shook the heavens. The sky shattered. After the collapsing sky, another land suddenly appeared. It was a land filled with countless souls, resembling the netherworld. Outside the Emperor's Star, tens of thousands of cultivators stared intently at the first incense stick. They saw the flame of the incense had completely halted, frozen still about 10 feet above Wang Lin's body, unmoving. Time slowly passed, one breath, another. In the blink of an eye, 5 breaths had passed. In the past, the 4th generation Vermilion bird could only last 5 breaths under this first incense stick, but now, Wang Lin had managed to stretch it to 5 breaths. 6 breaths. 7 breaths. The mystical tone immortal venerable, resembling a graceful young man, narrowed his eyes, revealing a look of surprise. Just as the first incense reached 7 breaths, a sudden exclamation rang out on the Emperor's Star. It wasn't the cry of one person, but of thousands, tens of thousands of people all gasping in shock. The number of exclamations continued to grow, and in an instant, the outcry surged like a tidal wave. What shocked them wasn't the extension of the first incense to 7 breaths, but rather, at the exact moment of the 7th breath, the human realm incense, actually, went out. The incense was extinguished. This sudden turn of events caused an uproar. Even the old Vermilion bird widened his eyes in disbelief. This. Si Maja momentarily froze, his eyes filled with shock. The Grand Diviner Yun Luo, who stood beside him, had a drastic change in expression. Ignoring the wound on his right hand, he began to gesture again, trying to calculate.